And I did run to come down here, so I'm a little short breath.
Take your time.
Okay. Oh, good afternoon, and thank you, Chairman Seiler, and good afternoon, members of the Judiciary Committee. I am Lydia Brosh, Lydia-BRASCH, and I represent the 16th District of the Nebraska Legislature. I am here to introduce Legislative Bill 340, which I have brought to you at the request of the Nebraska Firearm Owners Association. LB 340 would provide a definition to the term of, quote, posted conspicuous notice in the Concealed Handgun Permit Act found in the Nebraska Revised Statutes, sections 69-2427 through 69-2449. Currently, a concealed carry permit holder may carry a concealed handgun anywhere in Nebraska, with a number of exceptions for certain types of buildings and facilities such as polling places, detention facilities, schools, colleges and universities, meetings of a governing body, and political rallies. Among those in the listed exceptions in section 69-2441, subsection 1A, is a place or premises where the person, persons, entity, or entities in control of the property or employer in control of the property has prohibited from carrying concealed handguns into or onto the place or premises. If this type of place or premises is open to the public, the permit holder does not violate this section of the statute unless there has been posted conspicuous notice that carrying a concealed handgun is prohibited in or on the place or premises, or there has been actual notice given by the individual through an authorized representative. In section 69-2441, subsection 2, the term, I quote, posted conspicuous notice is not explicitly defined. LB 340 would provide a definition of posted conspicuous notice to mean a clearly visible sign posted at the entrance to a place or premises open to the public, and which complies with section 3 of the legislative bill. Section 3 of the bill provides that the Nebraska State Patrol shall design a standardized sign for these purposes. Importantly, the Nebraska State Patrol has already designed a standardized sign and currently strongly recommends that places or premises open to the public and who wish to prohibit concealed carry individuals from carrying onto their place or premises use the designed sign. This sign can be found on their website. Additionally, LB 340 uses the sign already designed by the State Patrol as a sign to be used to provide the posted conspicuous notice. With the exception, LB 340 only requires the sign to be 5 inches tall by 3 1/2 inches wide, as opposed to the 8 1/2 by 11-inch sign posted on their website. I have provided a copy of the current sign, and Brian Van Doon of the Nebraska Firearm Owners Association will provide a copy of the smaller sized version. Additionally, the Nebraska Administrative Code, Title 272, Chapter 21, regarding the Nebraska State Patrol and concealed handgun permit provides a definition of the posted conspicuous notice as a clearly visible sign posted at each public entrance to a place or premises open to the public, which shall clearly state that concealed handguns are not allowed in the place or on the premises. LB 340 would codify this general definition with specificity. If I said that right.
Any further questions? Senator Chambers.
Yes.
Senator Brush, if this were passed, then if I hand lettered a sign or had somebody paint the sign that said no firearms allowed on these premises, that sign wouldn't stand as notice, would it? If you are mandating what is an acceptable notice, in fact, I could have a sign 3 feet by 4 feet and that wouldn't work, would it? If you're specifying the size of the sign and what has to be on it.
Senator Chambers, that is a good point that you have made. What this does is there is already in their regulations where these signs go, the wording, the uniformity is there. It is a mere courtesy and assistance to the owner of the facility and helpful to those who are
Here's
concealed
what I'm
carry.
getting at, not to cut you off. That's not mandated by law. That's something that maybe the State Patrol chose to do. But if I don't want to do it that way, this says that if I post a sign on my window, no firearms allowed on these premises, a person could ignore that sign if this is the law. Couldn't that person?
I believe you are correct.
And that doesn't make sense to me, but that's all that I want into the record. That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you.
I want to take it a little bit further. You start out section 3 on page 3 of saying on paragraph 2A, or excuse me, paragraph 1, the Nebraska State Patrol shall design. And it sounds like, and then you go on to exactly describe the sign. So I'm wondering if that word design is the wrong term. It should be shall have or distribute. I assume you buy these from the State Patrol?
They are downloaded. All right. The page.
Well, then what you
Yes.
mean to say there is that they don't design them, you've already described them.
The signs are available. The word may be
That's what you mean
available.
there, rather than design.
That is a good correction.
Okay.
And what we propose is to make the sign much smaller and less.
No, I understand
okay.
that part of it.
But that is a good point. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Senator Chris.
Yeah, just a point. Most of us are savvy a little bit with computers, and if it's already on our website, it's just a matter of printing off a copy from the website, I would assume. So what I don't understand, for the record, are these fiscal notes. You know, we've got the university saying it's going to cost them $150,000 to produce or to buy the signs. I don't get that. I mean, it's you could probably print these off with the actual right off the website. So it's just I want to put it on the record for the
Point well taken.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you.
All right. Thank
Are you going to wait for closing?
I will wait up to the point of, I don't know what time it is now, but I need to leave and
Says
my
10 to 2.
okay, and my staff will be here for questions if I need to leave, but I should be able to stay.
Thank
I just
you.
want to make a point.
Yes, Senator.
Generally, the staff shouldn't be the one to answer the questions. It should be the senator. They can introduce the bill because all they're doing is presenting it, but the question should go to the senator, but not.
I gave Senator Brosh the permission to have her LA introduce it.
Right,
but not close it.
Not close it. Okay, I will stay for closing then.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Next proponent.
Mr. Chairman and committee members, good afternoon. I am Brian J. Van Doon, B-R-Y-A-N-J, V as in Victor, A-N space, capital D as in David, E-U-N. an unpaid registered lobbyist for the Nebraska Firearm Owners Association in support of LB 340. Members of NFOA are concerned that there is little uniformity to the signage used on businesses and other institutions or organizations throughout the state regarding the clear and easily recognizable notice relative to firearm concealed carry policy on that property. And in answer to Senator Chris' question, a university would not have to provide these signs because they are already a restricted area. Just as road signage has evolved to easily recognizable shapes, colors, and sizes so that motorists can operate motor vehicles within the law, so we applaud Senator Brosh for attempting to bring such ease of recognition to firearm policy in public places. And I do want to say public places again, that is facilities that are privately owned but open to the public. The point of this proposal is to balance the rights of those property owners whose premises are open to the public and those members of the public who want to lawfully enter the business using their state-approved carrying of a firearm. This in no way is intended to address those who have a no trespassing sign on their property. That is very clear to the public per state law. Nebraska trespassing laws are laid out in the 2008 Nebraska revised statutes in 28.520 and 28.522. Criminal trespassing is constituted by entering into or secretly remaining in buildings or land that is not licensed or privileged to enter. We would not be asking for this bill if public business owners uniformly followed the recommendation of the Nebraska State Patrol regarding suggested signage. In essence, law-abiding members of the Nebraska Firearm Owners Association are asking for this guidance so that they may be good neighbors to those businesses who do not want them to practice concealed carry on their premises. We recognize the proprietor's right to limited access relative to gun possession, or to limit access, as well as the gun possessor's right to know definitively the proprietor's intention. Thank you for your attention.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Next proponent. Next person in favor of this bill. Seeing none, any opponent testifying against this bill?
Hi, my name is Amanda Gailey, G-A-I-L-E-Y, and I'm speaking today as a representative of Nebraskans Against Gun Violence. On the surface, requiring signage to clarify rules seems like it isn't such a bad idea, but LB 340 places an unfair burden on businesses that do not want would-be vigilantes on their property, while requiring nothing of those businesses that welcome guns. Requiring specific signage is a hassle and a financial burden that would be shouldered exclusively by business owners who simply don't want random people carrying loaded guns onto their property. More importantly, though, this signage requirement, as currently written, functions as a social norming tool. It suggests that it is so normal for people to be walking into businesses with guns that anyone who wants to prohibit them needs to conspicuously flag themselves. If clarity is the goal, why don't we require all businesses to post their position on firearms? Why don't we require businesses that permit patrons to endanger others to post a standardized sign saying that guns are welcome? This would help all patrons understand the firearm situation, including many who would avoid gun-permissive businesses for safety reasons, and it would only make things even clearer for the gun-dependent. It would also not flag the prohibition of concealed carry as the exceptional position. This bill places a burden on businesses under the assumption that concealed carriers are law-abiding people who want to respect the rules. I challenge this assumption. While I am sure there are such people among Nebraska's concealed carriers, many of the gun-dependent people in this state do not follow the rules and brag openly about it. I have provided the committee with some examples of Nebraskan concealed carriers boasting that they ignore signs prohibiting guns. Why are our legislators so concerned about the convenience of people who cannot leave home without a weapon, instead of curbing the proliferation of guns in our state? Finally, I'd like to call the committee's attention to a practical matter. The sign language specifies concealed carry, but seems to not speak to open carry. Carrying a loaded gun openly with no permit or training is currently legal everywhere in Nebraska except Omaha, and may soon be legal there if the preemption bill heard by this committee yesterday passes. If these standardized signs speak only to concealed carry by permit holders, open carry appears to not be prohibited by them. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes.
You appear to have posted a number of Facebook comments. Have you been able to confirm that all of these people are actually concealed carry permit holders?
No, I have not, because I don't have access to that information. And in fact, there's a bill heard by committee yesterday that would ensure that nobody could verify that information, because it would keep the identities of concealed carriers secret.
I understand. The implication, though, was that you suggested that concealed carry permit holders are in some way out there flaunting the law, and yet, based on this evidence, I don't think you've provided that.
Well, either they are out there flouting the law, or we have a worse problem, which is a number of people concealed carrying without permit in this state, and I don't recall seeing any legislation meant to remedy either of those problems before the legislature this session.
Have you confirmed that all of these people actually reside in Nebraska?
Many of them do. I don't know about all of them.
Thank you.
Certainly the man who started the Facebook thread is a Nebraska resident, and I'd be happy to talk further about that if anybody wants information later.
Any further questions? You may step down. Thank you. Further opponent.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeanette Eileen Jones-Vazansky, Jones-Vazansky. I'm here today to testify on behalf of the Nebraska chapters of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Our chapter has a policy statement on gun violence, and even though this is not necessarily directly about gun ownership, we think that this legislation, LB 340, is related to some of our policy. Let me start by saying that as a sorority, we support efforts to reduce and prevent gun violence while recognizing the fundamental right of each citizen to self-protection. The Second Amendment, like every other civil right, is not absolute. The right to own a weapon is circumscribed by legitimate interests in public health and safety. We view gun violence as a mental and physical health issue, and we support several measures to prevent and reduce gun violence. One of the reasons why we are opposed to open carry in many public places is because we see this as opening up opportunities for gun violence to take place, not only in public businesses, but also private businesses as well. And I got something in my throat, sorry. Private locations. But with regard to this particular bill, Legislative Bill 340, we also agree with the previous testifier that this places an undue burden on business owners. And we believe that if there is no sign, then it should be read as you do not bring guns into this establishment. So if there is no sign, you do not carry. If guns are welcome, then we think businesses should state so, that it should not be on those who are not interested in having guns on their premises. They should not be compelled to state so openly. And I think we also agree that the legitimate argument is that responsible gun owners should be responsible for how they carry their handguns in this place and where they do so. I'll just close by saying that we also support other efforts to make sure that our citizens are protected and that they can go into establishments and not fear being exposed to guns and inadvertent gun violence.
Any further questions? Thank you very much for your testimony.
And thank you for the water.
No problem. Further opponent testifying against this bill. seen. Anybody in the neutral?
Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Chris Zeeb, C-H-R-I-S-Z-E-E-B. I'm a lifelong resident of Nebraska and currently live in Syracuse. I'm just going to go into neutral on this, and in full disclosure up front, I am a certified concealed handgun instructor, and I train a lot of people in the state as well as for other states. I want to explain to you why some people choose to carry a gun first. And I'm going to give you a neutral solution to address the issue with this bill here. You see, I didn't grow up with guns or hunting. I'm not a hunter or an outdoorsman, or wasn't a gun person. I was in an armed robbery 25 years ago where a hostage was taken at gunpoint. And guess where the police were? Outside. They weren't come rushing in to save us. So let's just say that was a bit of a wake-up call for me. I didn't run out the next day and say, well, I'm going to buy a gun now. A couple years later, my wife and I lived in the city of Omaha. I come home to find that someone had broke into my house. I called 911, and here is what I was told. I'm sorry, sir, there's no cars in service. It could be 2 to 3 hours before we have an officer there. At that point, I finally realized only I am going to take care of me and my family. Obviously, the police aren't going to be there to do it. So I went and bought a gun, I got training, and it's all, from there. That's why people choose to carry. I'm not a vigilante who wants to go out and save the day. As some people will have you, try to paint concealed carry holders. Now, let me give you a solution to this issue here that should work for both sides. How about you don't require any signs, and if someone doesn't want guns in their place, ask them to leave. It's real simple. We have the right to free speech and the right to keep and bear arms. And it's that simple. I carry a gun every day, and nobody knows it when I walk through the grocery store. I don't snap and shoot people. I had a road rage driver following me a couple days ago while I'm armed. You know what I did? I kept driving and I kept driving, and my goal was I'm going to drive to the police station. I'm not going to get out and confront this person. And I'll tell you, that's what most concealed carry permit holders are like. Of course, there's some bad apples out there that you might see some stuff on Facebook posted, but that's that. And as far as someone said it was a hassle and financial burden for the business owners, not to go on the Nebraska State Patrol website and print out a page and post it on their door. So that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Senator Chris.
Because you stated you're a concealed carry instructor,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the law. One of the guys that actually works in our aviation company has tried to get me to carry this kind of bill before, and I gave him the same answer why I would not do that, and I appreciate your answer. But talk to us just for a minute. If there's a posted sign that says guns are not welcome here, and within your instruction, you tell people where they should not carry guns or where they cannot carry guns by statute, and what happens to them if they ignore the sign and walk into an establishment, should they be confronted?
In Nebraska, they're charged with a Class 3 misdemeanor, punishable by 3 months in jail and or a $500 fine. A second or subsequent offense is a Class 1 misdemeanor. However, in any case that I've heard of where someone broke the rule, their permit was revoked immediately. There wasn't an option to do it again.
So they're extremely attentive if they want to keep their concealed permit, if there's a sign posted or if they're asked to leave the premises.
Absolutely, but the thing is the people who post these signs, which are very few anymore, more and more, people who post them generally just don't know any better. Somebody came in and said, well, you should post this sign. Look, there's only 36,000 concealed carry permits in Nebraska. There's 1.8 million people here, not even counting all the people traveling through. So, there's not that many places that really have the signs, but the ones that do, they're not very conspicuous about posting them.
1.9, but that's okay. kidding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that correction.
Thank you for the testimony.
Any further questions?
All right.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
testimony. Any further in the neutral? Any further in the neutral? The record will be closed. We will make the written materials handed in part of the record, and you may close.
Thank you, Chairman Seiler, and thank you, members of the committee. And I do want to thank those who came to testify on this bill. I do understand the concerns of those that followed regarding guns and gun violence. And I did want to clarify a few things before I leave you today. First of all, in record, you did get a letter from the ACLU that is testifying neutral on this bill. They don't feel that it's a violation of any constitutional rights or problems with this, but they do want to be on record for being neutral. And then for the individual who's concerned about undue burdens to businesses, the Nebraska Retail Federation also sent a letter to the committee testifying in neutral. It says that they take a position that it does not place a significant burden on retailers. And so, you know, that should be also noted. And this is required at this point. Businesses that do not wish to have concealed carry handguns are to post notice. What we're trying to do is make it consistent and uniform, that it is to be in a reasonable time and place and with restrictions and uniformity. That we already require signage on many other things. Last year, I believe, we required signage on warnings with tanning beds. That's been done. We require signage at food establishments on health regulations. Alcohol's required labeling in retail sales and warnings of minors and sales of personal property for alcohol in certain circumstances. We're just trying to provide a uniform sign that is consistent and visible. It is in a regulation, but it is not in statute as to the usage of the sign. And Senator Christ, as far as the fiscal note that you saw, the fine print there does say that it probably will not come into play, that they just wanted to make a note that should this be required. And this bill isn't whether there should be conspicuous notice. You do need that, but it helps define the terms. It makes it clear for the business owner. It makes it clear for public place. And it makes it clear for the individual that is concealed carry that they need to return to wherever they came and put their guns away, come there without concealed carry. I would like you to respectfully look through this, what we believe is a reasonable request, not placing any burdens on anyone, but making it more uniform. Thank you for your, yes, Senator Chambers.
Senator Brush, for the record, that sign was not put there to benefit the owners. It's to give these people who want to tote these pistols a status above everybody else. The original assumption was there, if you have a sign that says they can bring guns, then they can bring them. Well, they've been able to prevail on weak-need senators, burdens on everybody, so these people who carry guns are a step above everybody else. It would be like me saying that if you have a product that contains poison, it must be marked. So you want to say the mark must be 1 inch tall. So if I've got a poison sign that's 3 inches tall, I'm out of compliance because it wasn't exactly the size you say. So if I've got a sign as big as my front window that says no guns, if this is in place, that sign does not work they can bring their guns in, and that's one of the most inane, not referring to you, because you didn't write this bill, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay, so it has no reference to you. That's one of the most inane, asinine things I've ever seen.
Okay. And the sign could be bigger to justify your needs, if that's the case. We
Then
will
why do you
leave
put,
this
why
open.
do you specify, why can't they just say no guns? Why isn't that enough? Are these gun toters so stupid, they don't know what no guns allowed means?
We were following the lead of the Nebraska State Patrol.
You're following what?
The lead of the Nebraska State Patrol on their sign.
That's not mandated by law. Law doesn't say you have, does the law say you have to have something like this on your establishment? No, it doesn't.
No, it just, in their rules and regs, they talk about the visible conspicuous signage, and you have made a good point.
Somebody gave you a very bad bill, and I'm sorry you let them put you in that position, because I hate having to say this to you, but it's not you personally, it's for those behind this bill.
I appreciate
They've been trying to pull this stuff ever since they persuaded the legislature to let them tote these guns hidden, and there was an article where they wanted to have conventions where they'd all carry the guns into restaurants. So then the restaurateurs had to make sure that they let them know, we don't want you bringing those guns in here. And it's not enough to just say it, but it ought to be enough. Should you have to post on your yard, nobody has the right to come into my house without knocking on my door? I mean, some things are so obvious.
Very good.
If I were your advisor, I'd say, don't bring that bill.
Thank you. I appreciate your consideration here
And you know
and your
I love
thoughtfulness.
In a way that wouldn't get me in trouble if I was married, and won't get you in trouble now that you are. But to make it clear that I'm not
We are
your
friends
enemy.
for the record here. Thank you. Are there any?
I have one other
Yes.
thing. We did not receive your ACLU letter.
Okay.
We have the retailer, but we don't have the other.
Yeah, because it's addressed to members of the Judiciary Committee and copied to our office.
They gave us that giant list of letters yesterday.
Would you like a
It
copy
was
of
in my
this?
notes.
Well, if you want it part of the record, then we better have
Yes.
a copy here.
And you did get the Retail
I
Federation?
got the
They
retail.
gave us a huge list of letters yesterday, and that related to all sorts of bills. Sorry to upset you.
Got him so shook up.
Yeah, it was in March.
Okay.
Very
It'll be-
good.
It'll be made part of the record.
All right, thank you so much.